everybody, it's Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk, and thank you very much for joining me today. This is what I've been making today. It's a little kind of matchbox kind of a box, and it's been made with the envelope punch board. If I slide it open, inside we have the sentiment and plenty of room in there for you know, a little note or a little gift. That would be kind of good. You could tuck a gift card behind those two little hearts at the bottom there. As I said, tray is made with the envelope punch board, which makes it very, very easy to do. And yeah, I had a lot of fun making this one, so stay with me and I will show you how I made it. Supplies I'm using to make the little box itself are a square of fresh fig, and it's 7 1/4 inches on a side. And I've cut a strip of mossy meadow, and I've just cut the whole length of the A4 at 4 1/2 inches. The other things that I'm planning to use in my box are some offcuts of card. Again, I've got the mossy meadow and the fresh fig. Some of this paper, it's called Petal Promenade, and it's in the annual catalogue, and it's absolutely blooming gorgeous. I love it. I'm going to use fresh fig ink and Versamark. I'm going to use stamps from part of my story, which is a celebration set this year. I'm going to use, oh, there's a dimensional back there. I'm going to use dies from this set, and this is called, let me check, Be Mine. And I'm also going to use some embossing powder, and I'm going to use some of the narrow 1/8 inch sheer ribbon as well. The dimensions of the tray when it's finished are going to be 2 3/4 inches by 4 1/2, and it's going to be 3/4 inch deep. So I went to the Crafty Owl's website and I put those measurements into the box builder. And what it told me was that I need my 7 1/4 inch square of paper, and I'm going to begin by punching first at 3 7/8 inch. So there's my 3 7/8 inch is almost all the way to the 4. It's going to bounce because I'm pressing down on my punch, sorry about that. And I'm going to score along that diagonal line there, and then the next punch is at 4 7/8 inch, so it's almost all the way off the punch. Punch down and score. I'm going to turn my card around. I'm not going to do anything on this side just to begin with. I'm going to turn it around until I'm on the opposite side to the one that I've just punched. And I'm going to repeat those measurements again. So it was 3 7/8 inch and score, and 4 7/8 inch and score. Alright, so now I'm going to line up the pointer on my punch with the first of those score lines that I've just made, and punch and score. And I'm lining up with the second one and punch and score. And I'm going to go all the way around to the fourth side, lining it up with the already scored mark, punch and score. And 5 7/8. No, that's not what I want to do at all. And punch and score. Brain is having the afternoon off. Alright, I'm going to do one more thing with my punch board before I put it away. It's a bit of a premature. Right, so in practice, in use, right, that is going to be folded over. So what I am going to do is I'm going to line this score line back up with the groove in the punch board, and I'm just going to run across it with my my flap folded over. Now I'm taking my snips and I'm just releasing those flaps. So I'm just cutting along the score line and I'm just cutting out that little curved piece. Now I have that sort of a shape going on. Now I'm going to start gluing this together, and I'm going to begin by putting some adhesive onto those flaps and along this edge here and along that flap thereabouts. And let's do the same thing on the other side. May as well go for broke. And along that edge, and that edge, and that edge, and that edge. And I've got some Common or Garden ordinary office paper clips here to help me. I'm just going to bring all of these sides together. I told you that the finished dimensions of this was going to be 2 3/4 by 4.5. It's not, it's 2 3/4 by 5. So I have gone and cut another piece of Mossy Meadow, and don't worry about that first piece because it will get used up on other projects. Nothing gets wasted, believe you me. And I've cut this to 5 inches by roughly 9 inches. Now, if I were to score and fold this at exactly 2 3/4, 3/4, 2 3/4, 3/4, it would fit round my tray, but it would be really, really snug. So I want to put a little bit of wiggle room into it. So I'm going to start by putting my card on my Stampin' Trimmer, and I'm using this because it will go into 16ths. All right, whereas my Simply Scored, the nearest measurement you'll get is to the 1/8 of an inch. I want a 16th of an inch here. So while I've been babbling, what I've been doing is I've been taking my card and I'm lining it up with 2 3/4, and then I'm going to go one little bit further on. Do you see that? Excuse my rather grubby hands. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to use my what do we call it? Is it a take your pick tool rather than the blade that comes with this, because A, I'll get a better score, and B, I am less likely to I'm less likely to actually use the wrong blade and cut it. Alright, now I'm going to fold that back so it's out of my way, and I'm going to work on this side, and I'm going to line that edge up with 3/4 of an inch, which is that mark there, and then I'm going to go one beyond it to 3/4 of an inch and 1/16. Okay, and I'm just going to score along there. Right, so far I've scored 2 3/4 inches and a 16th, and 3/4 of an inch and a 16th, and I want to do another 2 3/4 and a 16th. So I'm going to fold the card up again and go to 2 3/4 and one more mark, 1/16, and put that mark in. And if I now fold on that second mark, as I've already done that, you see, just folded that over, use that as my guide, some adhesive along this edge. And bring that over, line that up, squish it down flat, and this should now be a nice snug fit, but not too snug. I'm going to go over to the Big Shot in a little while, and I'm going to cut out one of these in the fresh fig, and I'm also going to cut out some of this size in the fresh fig and in the mossy meadow, and I'm also going to cut out a few of the smallest of the kind of skinny hearts, and I'm going to cut that one out in fresh fig and mossy meadow, because at this stage I'm still kind of playing with the layout. I'm still trying to decide how I want it to go in the end. So I'm going to go and cut out lots and lots of these shapes, and then when I've got them ready, I will come back and go on to the next stage. I'm going to do some stamping with my Stamparatus. I've gone ahead and I've mounted my stamp up onto the Stamparatus plate. This is from part of my story. It's one of the Celebration stamp sets this year, and the one I'm using today says, "I'm so glad you are part of my story." And that's going to go on my big, I can't think of the word, the big heart in the middle of my card. Now I am going to be stamping it in Versamark ink, but because I want to see where I'm going to start off with a little bit of fresh fig. And I'm just going to wipe off the extra. Just wondering if my stamping chamois damp. Yes, it is. Just give that a quick wipe with the stamping chamois. Now you notice that that stamp is not going anywhere. It's not moving anywhere on the Stamparatus plate, and that is because this is one of the new cling stamps. And when they say cling, they mean cling. It really does stay. It really does stay put. They stay exactly where you want them. Let me just move the magnet so it doesn't get in my way. Right. So this is the waste from when I die cut that heart shape, and I've kind of cut away the excess card because I'm going to use this as a way of lining up my stamp. So when I'm happy with the way that it looks there, I'm going to take a little bit of low tack tape, and I'm just going to stick it down to the backing paper, and this makes lining up rubber stamps with die cut shapes super easy. The other thing that you could do, of course, would be to stamp your sentiment first and then die cut it out, because they're frameless, they're hollow, and you can see exactly where you're putting them. But for me, this way works a little bit better. I'm going to be embossing, so I've got my embossing buddy, giving that a good coating of the powder. Let me make sure that this is lined up where I want it to be again. That just fits into the gap in the card. Bit of Versamarking. And press down. And I can see that that has stamped really well. Bring in my embossing powder. I'm using my Happy Accident embossing powder today, which is the embossing powder I accidentally made when I added some gold embossing powder to my pot of silver embossing powder. But you know what? we're not going to waste it because it still works just fine. Heat gun. It's going to go on to high speed. It's going to get noisy, so I'm going to turn the sound down and I'm going to speed things up. I said they were clingy. They are very, very, very clingy. So when you want to take them off, don't just kind of grab hold of it and try to yank it up. Try and get a corner up first and then sort of ease the stamp away from the stamp pad, because otherwise you may break your stamp. You may tear the foam. Those suckers are not going anywhere. Check that out the way just for a minute. Tidy hop, tidy hop. Also going to do a little bit of sponging around the hearts that I've cut out. So just around the edge of the big one here. And I'm going tone on tone with the fresh fig, which is rather nice. Two pieces of this absolutely gorgeous designer series paper, and the larger of the two is sized to fit onto the front panel of my box. So it is 2 3/4 by sorry, the box is 2 3/4, so this is 2.5 by 4 3/4, and I cut another piece the same size, and then I just trimmed bits off it until it would fit neatly inside the tray of the box. And I think I'm going to use them that side up because that's a gorgeous pattern, but I do want to sponge the edges a little bit, I think. So I've just got fresh fig ink on my finger dauber. Let's start putting it together. So here is my smaller piece of paper, and I'm just going to apply my liquid adhesive to the back of it. And again, you can use tape or whatever makes you happy. It doesn't need to be super strong, because it's just sitting at the bottom of this tray. So snail or some kind of tape like that would be absolutely fine for it. And I'm going to pop on a fair few dimensionals, because why not? And just take the backings off them. And this is the way I find easiest to take the backings off, is just to pierce the backing with my pokey tool or whatever it is I happen to have. Right, so which way round shall I put this? That is a cabbage in the middle of that, isn't it? I understand that Prince Philip calls Her Majesty the Queen cabbage. Right, so it just raises it up from the back a little bit, and don't think I want it exactly there. So fortunately, the dimensionals are quite forgiving. So I shall pop that one a little bit higher up. Straight would be good. And then that will give me room to put a couple of the smaller hearts. Have I sponged that one? I haven't sponged that one. So yes, I like that. So my front cover, make sure I've got wiggle on the top, and same thing goes again. Just lining that into place. I did go back onto these two because I just thought that I was trying to arrange these in a, in a pretty way, and it just wasn't working out for me as a plain kind of look. So I did go back and I used stamps from Sunshine Sayings. So because I've got Love and You. And I'm going to start with some dimensionals on the back of this guy. Actually, I'm going to kind of glue them in place before I put any more dimensionals on. I'm just wondering whether to raise that. Yes, I will. I'm going to raise that up on one dimensional, and then on the other side, which is going to be along this side, I'm going to stack them. So I'm going to put 2 dimensionals to make it 3-dimensional. That was almost a joke. Take backing off. And after, fiddling around with, I didn't want to take that one off yet, did I? You fool. Oh, what am I like? Alright, so let's stack those two. Now I was just going to stick those just onto the box just like that, and that's fine, that's nice, but I thought it was a little bit plain. It needed a little bit of something extra. So I have cut myself 2 lengths of the 1/8 of an inch sheer ribbon. I've got one length that is in Old Olive and one that is in Fresh Fig. And I'm going to place these onto my box, and I did originally try putting a knot. I tried tying a knot, but it just wasn't having it. It's very difficult to tie a good knot when you're on your own. So I'm just going to use glue dots instead. And I'm not going to stint on the glue dots either, as much as they usually give me trouble. Okay, so I've got the length of the Fresh Fig and some bits hanging down, and let's do the same with the Old Olive. Just kind of twisting them round into place. Another glue dot. Okay, so they're kind of hanging around like that. And now I can put my 2 hearts over the top. trying to make sure that the, put this way you can see it. So that the ends of the ribbon are stroking down. Let's come up a little bit because we're getting all tangled up there. Go. That's now starting to look quite nice. And scissors here. So there it is, that is the finished box, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if so, then don't forget to click that thumbs up button below. It really does help me out. But for now, thank you very, very much for staying with me to the end of this video, and I'd love it if you came back and saw me again sometime soon. Bye bye.